Hello, this is Gitta with Gitta Sells and Associates, Keller Williams, and I'm here with Paul McNally with Central Florida Business Brokerage based in Altamonte Springs. Paul has been a business owner for 8 years and then for 30 years, and then transitioned into the business brokerage about 8 years ago. So the business brokerage also falls under the real estate license law. But really, a business brokerage is totally different from real estate. So, Paul, how did you become a business broker?
Thank you, Gitta, for having me here. Well, I've owned a number of restaurants, is the businesses that I was in, and was in a position that I was looking to purchase a new restaurant, and went to a broker, a friend of mine, to see what was available on the market, and didn't see anything that I liked. And we got talking about business brokerage, and he talked me into coming into this business. The next thing I knew, I was sitting for my license and in the business. And it's one of the best moves I made, helping people buy and sell businesses.
Very good. I know that business brokers really do not want residential brokers to mess in their business, right? Why is that?
Well, it's not that we don't want businesses, residential realtors to mess in our business, but selling a business and transferring a business is a lot different than transferring a house.
Yeah.
And you have to know the paperwork, you have to understand the numbers. You want to make sure that the buyer and the seller are taken care of. And when somebody is doing something that they're not doing every day, sometimes it ends up in a lawsuit these days. So we have a number of business brokers that also do residential, that are qualified in both. But we try to myself, I just do business brokerage. If I tried to sell a house, it would be a mess. So that usually happens when a broker, a residential broker, wants to do that one-off business that they're not used to.
So when you want to sell residential, you call me, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, there are many specialized fields in the business brokerage. And it is also not to be confused with commercial brokerage. What is the difference?
Well, a commercial broker typically is dealing with investors, and they're buying apartment buildings, office buildings, warehouses, commercial property, and looking for a return on investment and appreciation of the real estate itself. In business brokerage, most of our buyers are looking to own and operate the business. So if they buy a restaurant, they're probably going to be taking the role of the general manager, or if they're buying a manufacturing company, they're going to be running the company. And so they're actually buying a business where they can make a good income and also grow the business so they have appreciation also. So there is definitely two distinctly different areas.
Yeah, I can see that. What is the most important thing to know about business brokerage?
Well, the big thing with our business is confidentiality. So when a seller is looking to sell their business, number one, they don't want their employees to know that it's for sale. Because their employees don't know their future, they'll go looking for another job. And then they don't want their customers to know. Because of the same reason. They might say, well, what's going to happen with this business? So confidentiality is the most important thing, and we really do everything to protect that. When we get a potential buyer, we require them to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, and a confidentiality agreement. Plus we check out their financials to make sure they have the wherewithal to buy the business before we'll release any information on the business itself.
Yeah. If a business owner is thinking about selling their business, how would they know where to price the business? How do you find that out?
Well, most people that are in business have no idea what their business is worth because they don't. It's not something they do on a regular basis.
Right.
So if they come to a professional like us, to come up with a value of that business, and usually that's our first step, is to come up with a price that we can sell it for.
Yeah.
And we go to our databases and price it and get it comparable to a comparative market analysis to get like businesses in the same area
Yeah.
to see what they sold for. So when you're selling a house,
Same thing.
you do the same thing. You look at that neighborhood,
Yeah.
you find similar properties, you get a price, and this one has a pool, and that one has a fireplace, and here's the price it should be. We do the same thing with businesses. If it's a pizzeria, we'll look for pizzerias in the area that have sold within the last year, what they've sold for, what sales they did, what profit they had, and we'll do a comparison. So we can give a pretty good range on what that business will sell for.
Now, do you establish a lot by the profit they are making?
Correct.
I think that has a very big
huge
stake in there.
Huge.
Right?
When we do a CMA, a comparative market analysis, we look at it three ways. We'll look at the assets. So we get pricing based on the assets. We'll get pricing based on revenues, and we'll get pricing based on profitability. And in small businesses, which is what I specialize in, then in 90% of the cases, you're going to price it based off of profitability.
Yeah.
The first question a buyer asks when they are looking for a business is how much is it making?
That's the most important thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there are so many different business classifications. Do business brokers specialize in different classification, such as selling a gas station, or selling a restaurant, or a bar, or whatever?
They do. There are a lot of business brokers. I've got a good friend that specializes in insurance companies. There's another business broker that specializes in professional practices. It could be medical practices, law offices, accounting offices, things like that. So yeah, there is definitely some specialists. But business is business, and it's what's coming in for revenues and what's going out in expenses.
What's left over?
And what's left over. So the majority of business brokers are generalists, unless they get into an area that they just don't understand. And because you have to understand the business to be able to sell it. Yeah,
absolutely. What do you specialize in, and why?
Well, coming from the restaurant business, I do a lot of restaurants. I have a lot of connections in that. It's comfortable after owning many, many restaurants. And so I do a lot of that, but I also do a lot of service businesses and manufacturing and distribution. I consider myself a generalist, but between those categories, it's probably about 75% of the businesses that I sell.
That you do. Okay. What is the difference between selling an office building versus an ongoing business?
So the big thing between the two, as we talked about before, is the buyer is different. So in the office building, it's most likely going to be an investor that is looking for return on investment, and buying the business is going to be somebody that is going to buy a business that they feel comfortable with, that they can run, and to be able to operate a running business.
Oh, okay. Now, in real estate, we have the MLS to do comparables. What are you using to do comparables for your business?
In the business brokerage world, we have an association in Florida, and it's actually the largest business broker association in the world. It's called Business Brokers of Florida. BBF is what we use for an acronym. And it's very similar to what residential uses with the Realtors Association.
Right.
And we as an organization have come up with standardized forms that we use. We've come up with some different educational and ethics and all of the things that the Realtors have put together for their people. And we also have an MLS system that we use within the state. Currently, we've got close to 4,000 listings on it throughout the state of Florida. We have 1,150 business brokers that are active in BBF, and that's our primary means of advertising, although we use a lot of other private websites that are geared towards different areas of the country, We do some advertising that's geared towards overseas for people that are looking, foreign nationals that are looking to come to the United States and use an E2 visa for an entry into a path to citizenship.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
And there were, years ago that was very, very popular. South America was very popular. So that changes over the course of time. But we use a variety. Everything pretty much is online today, just like in residential.
Yeah, everything. They are so educated now, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Best education there online.
Is this a good market to buy or sell a business now?
It's a great market right now. It's a great market for a couple of reasons. The economy is strong and business is good, so business values are up. So for a seller, they can get good value for their business when things are going good. For the buyer, the banks have a lot of money that they will loan for business acquisition. So that makes a big difference on the buy side. We didn't used to have it as good as we do now. So the banks are very willing to lend for a profitable business. And the SBA, the Small Business Administration, which has a guarantee program for the banks, over the last couple of years has changed a lot of their standard operating procedures to make it easier for individuals to get into business.
Who would be your perfect client and how can they get in contact with you?
So the perfect client would be somebody that has owned a business and run a business for a number of years, a profitable business, and had some growth over the years, and maybe they're coming up to a point where they want to retire, and they don't have anybody to take over the business, so they want to sell the business to use that money to enhance their retirement or whatever. That would be the perfect client. Usually a sale of a business is usually there's a life-changing event. It's going to be a retirement, sickness, death, move. There's a lot of different reasons. But the key to that perfect client is a profitable business. I don't have too many buyers that are looking for non-profitable businesses. So that would be the best way. The best way to get a hold of me, go to my website, which is www.cfbb.biz, B-I-Z, and you can get me through there. You can call me direct on my cell phone, which is 407-403-4455. Or if you're dealing with one of Gitta's associates, you can certainly talk to them and they'll get you in touch with me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Paul, for sharing this informative information. And I appreciate your candor, and we wish you all the best in your business. And this is Gitta with Gitta Sells and Associates. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Until next time.